This is the Aging Room T112. It's actually not my favorite, but I haven't had it in a while. Aging Room does some cigars I enjoy a lot, but it's been a while. So I'm like, we'll go for it again. Maybe things will change for me. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. The radio show is about to join us. Let's do some work. The deal is so close you can almost taste it. A deal with Iran and Oman and the Strait of Hormuz and blah, 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 blah. I hate the fact that I have to start this way. But I got to assume war, the lack thereof, is the top story. I don't know. Maybe it is Abdul El Sayed being the tough guy. It's so adorable. He is precious. He really is. He's like having your very own Tamagotchi. Don't forget to feed him. Or there's Tucker Carlson with his 10-point declaration of what a political party in America should be, which sounds like a lot of things we would say, except, of course, without the insanity in Marjorie Taylor Greene. Tony Katz today, an absolute pleasure to be with you. I'm going to get into what he said because the funny thing is that I think Tucker doesn't understand how he's coming across. And I am more and more convinced that the marketplace for his madness is slight. Very, very slight. And certainly who he has picked to align himself with puts in the same position. Certainly when it comes to the idea of war, certainly comes to what's going on with Iran, there are people who want to scream America first. With all due respect, if taking out a terrorist regime that's trying to kill you isn't America first, I'm not exactly sure what is, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Again, I repeat myself, no serious political anything is done with Marjorie Taylor Greene. None. Zero. Tucker still has the opportunity to be taken seriously, far more seriously than her, but you're going to align with her? Okay. All right. Sure. We're going to spend even less time thinking about you. I'm going to get into that. I will get into the tough guy commentary of Abdul El Sayed because if he thinks that the issue is nobody can pronounce Abdul Rahman, well, that's not the issue. The issue is whether or not you're an Islamo-Marxist, whether or not you have connections to CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations, which is a front group for the Muslim Brotherhood, as said by the UAE, designated a terrorist group by Florida and Texas. And oh, by the way, not a very good group of people as Islamist apologists. My take on that one, they may disagree. But you're going to complain about AIPAC? Oh, honey, kitten, boo-boo. And then you're going to get tough with Mike Rogers, the Republican running? Yeah, we'll get into that too. But can I start not even with what's going on with Iran because there's nothing really to report. It's the same as it ever was. And the oil prices are showing this. We're actually up. This morning, like when I was doing my morning show, we were at $75 a barrel. Now we're at $77 a barrel, midday. The Brent crude was just at about 80. Now is at 82.38. The Brent crude is what comes out of the ocean. So we're seeing a tick up. But put that to the side as well. Can we agree? The one thing in American society, can we agree on, please, is F the flock cameras. I can say that, right? Producer Landon, can I get a ruling? Okay. As long as the last three letters do not get spelled. Of the flock camera? Oh, that I can say. Okay, so I did it right. Whew. I thought maybe I got it confused. That could have just been terrible. There is a story out of NewsNation, newsnationnow.com. All 8 flock cameras, according to the Winona Police Department, Winona, Minnesota, all 8 of them, which are next to the Wisconsin border, were missing. Somebody stole all 8 flock cameras. Now, I do not condone the theft, and that is wrong. But let us discuss the American disgust of the flock camera. So what is a flock camera? Great question. This is the idea of surveillance. So Flock Safety is the website, flocksafety.com. Clear evidence, safer communities, privacy first. And it reads their website. I'm right there on their page. Flock connects communities, businesses, and public safety so incidents may be understood clearly and decisions can be made on facts. Okay. I should be clear that what I'm about to discuss has nothing to do specifically with the company Flock. I don't know much about the actual company. I don't mind a company being in business. These are not the things that I concern myself with, and they are not the only company that is in this business. There is also a company called, is it Alon, A-L-O-N, that does this? Picture the scenario. You want to keep your community safe. You want to keep an eye on things. So you work with a group like Flock, and they install cameras all around your city, and that allows the local police department to keep a better eye on things. And so if there's a criminal on the loose, or if someone's doing this, that, or the other, the police can handle it and we can stop the crimes. When a private business does this, I have zero issue with it whatsoever. So I work with a group, right? I work with a group called Hoosier Security. I do work with them. I'm very clear about this. They have a website, catchthebadguys.com, which their entire world is how to utilize, as a matter of fact, Armando, give me a call. How to utilize your camera, like your existing security camera, with their AI tech. And the philosophy is, why can't we stop the crime while it's happening really before it gets going so we can actually arrest somebody? Instead of having a camera saying, oh, look, there's the guy who robbed me, stole all my stuff, you could actually do something about it. I have zero issue with that whatsoever on the private level. None. Absolutely none. And they've got like tools that you can get for this kind of thing, and trailers you can rent. Like if you have like car lots or construction sites and things like that, totally fine. Absolutely fine. If you have home security and you have cameras, that's fine. I have cameras. Of course I do. I don't like the idea that government comes and knocking and saying, hey, can we get access to your footage? Ooh, that's where it starts to get weird. I am discussing the idea of government surveilling the citizenry. No matter how it is described, in the end, what is happening is that local governments are utilizing these cameras and putting these cameras up, and the police departments love them. They're surveilling the citizenry. Where I happen to live, the mayor, she's lovely, by the way. I like her on a great number of subjects. She's wrong on this. The police department is thrilled with these cameras. They were able to catch 3 people who were wanted from a county just below us. The only way to know that is if you are surveilling all the people who are walking down Main Street. And where I live, quite literally Main Street, right? That's the only way it can happen. The government has absolutely no right to surveil the citizen. And no citizen should think a rational society has surveillance. China has surveillance. Non-stop cameras in all places at all times. They have what are referred to as social credit scores. Do you smile enough? Did you pick up that piece of garbage? Well, if your social credit score isn't high enough, no travel for you. No opportunities for you. As a matter of fact, you get less. Your rights, to the extent that you can have a right in a communist nation, whether that be in all of China or in Manhattan under Mamdani, they get taken from you because you are not acting appropriately and the camera is watching. That is some Philip K. Dick kind of low-class stuff. That is gross, ugly, beyond the pale obscenity. This is the last thing a society should want. If you want to know the real last thing a society should want, what happens when a society tries to equalize out in certain ways, you should read Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut. You can actually see the movie with Julie Haggerty. I think it's George C. Scott. It's a short film. It'll turn your stomach, but neither here nor there on this subject. We do not want a society where we are surveilled. And I will have this conversation with anybody in law enforcement, anywhere, at any time, whether you're a police officer, whether you're a police chief, whether you're a sheriff, whether you're FBI, retired. I start with a baseline. It is not the job of the citizen to make easier the job of law enforcement. When I say easier, I am saying that my rights do not get abused, misused, or taken, so it is easier for law enforcement. Not now, not ever. The answer is no. I understand the role of police. I'm not a defund the police guy. Was it Bernie Sanders who just said that no serious Democrat is talking about defunding the police? Oh, I know I've got this. Oh, it's going to kill me. I'm going to find it. I think Bernie just said that. No serious Democrat is talking about defunding the police. Adorable. Of course they are, and of course they want to. I am not. But I'm also not going to have a conversation about putting my rights up for grabs or up for debate. Do you have a right to privacy in the public square? We've answered that question really in America by saying no. If my eyes can see you, you're not private. And a recording device can be seen as nothing more than your eyes. Now, I'm paraphrasing this, but I have the general concept right. That is of the private citizen. If I am going to name the restaurant and someone has decided that they're going to take my picture and post it, oh, look, Tony Katz went here. First of all, that's weird. But secondly, they can do that. They can do that. That's different than whether your government should be able to do that. Your government being restricted is what is so great. That is what matters most. When President Obama complained about the Constitution, he complained that it was a charter of negative rights. It was a negative charter, which is to say that the Constitution, if you were to give it a read, talks about what government cannot do to you. It does not discuss what government must do for you. I always thought that was a very frightening and ugly thing for him to say. It is really a great example of how diametrically opposed I am to that philosophy. I do not want my government to do for me outside of Article 1, Section 8. Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. Right? Solid. Do I want them to have a military? Absolutely. Do I want a government as small and as lean as possible doing the basics? Yes, I do. Everything else should be up to me. What with the 10th Amendment ensuring that the rest of the rights are mine that are not actually laid out there within the Bill of Rights or within the Constitution itself? It belongs to us. Restraining the government was the whole point. And Barack Obama, the, wait for it, constitutional scholar, seems to have missed he missed the point of the thing. That's like reading the New Testament and being like, so like, who is this Jesus guy again? You have missed the point. If you can read that and not under. The Constitution is about constraining government. It is about amplifying the concepts of liberty. Now, in and of itself, if we have a constitution that we are saying that freedom, absolute freedom, pure freedom, is not the thing we were going for. We are going for a rule of law. We're looking for the maximum amount of liberty, which means, by definition, a level of guardrails, and we keep those guardrails and we keep them as wide away from each other as possible. That's a liberty society. That's a society I favor. Governments can't track you. If they could track you on the street just because they put up the cameras, well, then what happened to the idea of search? Whatever happened to the idea of the Fourth Amendment? Whatever happened to the idea of a warrant? They're already keeping tabs on you, keeping tabs on your location, and we have seen the videos out there. A police officer saying, we know when you left town, we know when you came back, we know what you did. Is that right? And the worst is, the officer acts like a total scumbag in the videos, which must be something they train, because no real person should ever act like that. So there in Winona, Minnesota, they tore down the flock cameras to stop this surveillance. You can't condone the law breaking and the vandalism there. But should you vote out people who want the flock cameras, and should you vote to remove them? Yes. And should you vote for any Politico who wants to install them? No. No, you should not. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. An absolute pleasure to be with you guys. Glad to see you here. I've got some people disagreeing with me about flock cameras. How many of those opposed have their own cameras at their homes? Before you comment about they aren't available for police use, they are through proper means. How many missing people have been found by flock cameras? A couple things from this comment on Twitter. I already said that people can have cameras at their homes. That's not my argument. If police ask and you hand over the information, I would think that's weird. I'm not sure if the police should be allowed to ask, but I know that has happened. That's different than a government surveilling you. And whether or not people have been found by flock cameras, that's not a reason that I lose my rights and I get surveilled by my government. That's an insane thought. Certifiable thought. We need to take schools back from progressives faster than you know, Corey. Wholeheartedly true. Thank you. Appreciate that quite a bit. All right, we're coming back. Okay. Right on. Now, what's going on with the water? This is a problem. This is concerning. "12 states now having cyber attacks on the water supply." Tony Katz today. A pleasure to be with you, everybody. Add Michigan and Minnesota. We already knew about Minnesota. Georgia, New Jersey, and South Dakota to the list. What's happening is that they are losing critical remote control capabilities, forcing operators to switch to manual modes. Hackers are gaining access to pumps, valves, and water pressure. The water itself has remained safe. But you've got the FBI, the EPA, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, also known as CISA, warning that cyber threat actors had remotely accessed online infrastructure for water and wastewater systems in at least 7 states. Now, this is a good time to remind people that you don't have to be a prepper. You just have to be able to have some water in the house to deal with a couple of days of things all going to pot. You are responsible for you, and not everything is going to work all the time. There are not only people trying to do us wrong, sometimes things break. If you're not prepared to have a few days of water in the house, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just going to depend on government to bring you water? You're not going to work on it yourself? You should work on it yourself. I don't know if you've got to be like a underground bunker prepper, meals for 3 years, MREs kind of guy. I do think that you have to have some level of preparedness. But this was the part that made me lose my mind. The water agencies were advised to disconnect their operating programs from the internet and strengthen their password protections and firewalls. And I said, protections and firewalls? Passwords? Oh, yes. The tactics, while people think this is Iranian-backed hackers, I'm not 100% sure, that's what they think. It resembles a 2023 campaign by a group that was linked to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which tapped into water system controllers using default passwords. I'm telling you right now, if some water system somewhere has a password of password, I want everybody fired today. No pension, nothing. We physically throw you out. And if you're on the second floor, it's going to hurt because we're still going to throw. Default passwords. What the heck is going on? You telling me that somewhere the water system of name that city has the password of 1234? Or because it was extra secure, 12345? Default password. I jumped out of my chair when I first read that. That's... You ever wonder whether or not everybody's just gotten stupid? Well, there could be an answer to at least some. I'm Tony Katz. Good Lord. In the middle of that, Landon's whispering to me, that's the passcode for my luggage. Like anybody. Wait, car guy just did the same. That's the password to my luggage. So I'm smoking the Aging Room small batch T111. I'm sorry, the T112. Sorry, not T111. So Aging Room does some nice work. The small batch T111, sorry, T112. I did it again. It's kind of interesting in that it's not a super rich cigar. Although people talk about it as having like cocoa and leather. Certainly I can get some leather out of it. It is a brighter cigar. And it has hit me for a couple of years now as herbal. It's Dominican Habano, right? So the Habano wrapper, Habano, is definitely going to have some spice. But if you're talking about binder and filler, actually it's Dominican binder, the Nicaraguan filler, Esteli and Jalapa, those regions, I would think you would get more richness. I've never gotten that. I get this brightness. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just not usually where I want to be on a cigar. And it's a little less today. It could be me, but it's there. It's just it's a brighter cigar. It's not. So you're asking about pepper. So pepper is very often a standard that comes from the leaf. The question is, what kind of pepper? Black, white, red. So think of, and I've discussed this on videos before, so think of black pepper as just the baseline, something that coats the tongue, right? That's presenting itself as a spice that you can utilize as like an all-purpose kind of descriptor, pepper. That would be black pepper as I would describe it. A little more base, a little more simple, a little more to a basic richness. Red pepper you would consider about a heat, something with strength. You feel it a bit in the cheek. Not every cigar has that. White pepper, think of as bright, bouncing off the tongue, bouncing off the roof of the palate, of the mouth there, right? It's to an extent pulsating. That's white pepper. So you could argue that this has white pepper to it. I argue that it's a little bit herbal. Also, there are people who will confuse that pepper for wood, specifically things like cedar, which is definitely a flavor you get from cigars. And wood has its own level of spice. And I would argue that this is more in that space than it is in a big pepper space. But I think it has an herbal brightness to it. And that's not always where I like to be with a cigar, but sometimes your palate changes. And so I took this for the ride to see where I'm at. Might be your cigar, though. That's the beauty of it. So I found the clip. The audacity of these people. Bernie Sanders being asked the question from the people over there at Pod Save America. I think this is clean, producer Landon, but finger on the dump button just in case. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. And this was Bernie Sanders being asked about funding and defunding the police.
Progressive politics has always been focused on the material needs of working class people. And I would say that to the extent that you've broken from Democratic Party policy, it's usually around economic issues, healthcare, et cetera. There are some DSA candidates today, including some who've won their primaries this cycle, who've also talked about abolishing prisons, defunding or even abolishing the police, abolishing borders. You've never been for any of that. Are you worried that taking those positions, which are unpopular with most voters and even most Democrats, sort of hurt the movement that you've worked really hard to build?
Well, look, people have different views, and what you know as well as I do, that the right wing, that's their job, right? They will take what one person said and put, $80 billion of TV ads on it and make it claim every Democrat supports that. No serious person that I know who is running for office believes in quote unquote defunding the police.
Stop. Just stop. Of course they do. Of course the DSA does. Of course these communists do. It isn't some Republican boogeyman, $80 billion worth of ads. It's embarrassing from Bernie Sanders. Also, in this interview, he looks so much like the judges from the Muppet Show. If he had a mustache, I don't know if it's Stadler or Waldorf. I don't know which one it is. But he's really showing his age. Truly, that a 23-year-old is listening to this old man. Here he is lying to you. You have candidate after candidate discussing defund the police. They've been doing so for years. This isn't some boogeyman. And you know it. And these 23-year-olds know it. And these college students know it. And here he is lying to you. Why would you buy into that? If Trump lies to you, you say Trump's lying to me. Bernie's lying to you. Just say it, man. Just say it. He's lying to you. Plain and simple. They really do want to defund the police. That's who they are. So that was Bernie. Then there is Abdul El Sayed. El Sayed. I think it's really pronounced El Sayed. I do want to say it properly. So what he has done is he has won the Democratic primary. And he has now decided he's going to be the toughest guy out there. Oh, is he going to be so tough? So strong. So vigorous. He's going to keep telling everybody that he's not a socialist. And he goes on a tear. He is just playing all sorts of tough guy. And after he gets the nomination, he takes to the microphone and, well, I'm going to share it with you. I think, again, it's clean there, Producer Landon, but just in case. You ready? Good stuff.
Who will do anything Blue Cross Blue Shield wants him to do, including raise your rates. Mike Rogers is a guy who introduced legislation to increase the flow of opioids. He did that while I was in high school. Mike Rogers is a guy whose politics and vision and perspective are old. Mike Rogers is a guy who has never shied away from a corporation he could do a favor for. Mike Rogers is a guy who, believe it or not, went back to Florida so he can lick every single boot Donald Trump owns to beg for his endorsement. I'm so sorry. If you want a senator who's going to lick some boots, fine, go vote for Mike Rogers. But if you want a senator who's going to stand up to Donald Trump, then you've got your option right here.
He'll stand with CARE. He'll stand with communists. And everybody he disagrees with is a bootlicker. So tough and so bold. He also said of Mike Rogers that if you want to get tough, it's going to work out very bad for you. I mean, it's an obvious threat that he is putting out here. When he says, you're not going to have safe quarter from people holding you accountable. He said those words about Mike Rogers, the Republican. You're not going to have safe quarter from people holding you accountable. So we understand that that's a threat, right? We understand that it's a threat. It's clearly a threat. But it's part of what is obviously calculated as the need to be a tough guy for the people of Michigan. Because not only is he going to get tough with Mike Rogers, he said of Mike Rogers that if you want to come and have a conversation, well, you won't be able to handle the questioning, and you're going to wither under the questioning because of the crimes you have committed. What crimes did Mike Rogers commit? What crimes did he commit? He served in the U.S. Army from 85 to 89. What crimes did he commit? He was a special agent with the FBI from 89 to 94. He was interviewed to be the director of the FBI after Comey was dismissed. What crimes? Serving our country twice? But Abdul El Sayed also wants to be a tough guy on his name. And he decides to pull the Sonny Hostin card and say, if you can't pronounce my name, don't talk about me.
You know, they think that you want to use my whole name against me. Mike, listen, man, if you can't say the name, it's Abdurrahman, keep the name out your damn mouth. I'll be happy to give you lessons.
You'll give me lessons? In what, keeping your name out of my mouth? Your website reads abdulforsenate.com. Look at it. It's right there. It's right there. If you're part of the live stream on YouTube and Rumble, it's right there. It says abdulforsenate.com. You call yourself Abdul because you didn't think the voters were capable of pronouncing Abdul Rahman. Ooh, I can say it. I guess I can say things about you now, tough guy. Look, I'm not the strongest. I'm not the biggest. I'm not the fastest. I accept this about me. I'll say anything I want about you anytime I want to say it about you. And there is no fear that I have that you're going to get angry with me. Get angry. Can't help that. I don't think you should. People say things about me all the time. Move on with your day. I know what it's like to get angry, and I know what it's like to act inappropriately. And I did mine on, it wasn't even cable news. It was public access nonsense. Learned a lot from those days. I would not have been a good candidate in those days, nor would I have been a good radio host in those days. You learn. You grow. You get smarter. You stop being dumb. But you don't play the tough guy. There's one thing that I have learned is that you don't play the tough guy. The tough guy thing, it's never tough. It's never, ever, ever tough. It comes across as weird and it's performative. Honestly, why not just be a finance bro and put on a vest? What are you doing? I know what it is like to do the wrong thing. You shouldn't do the wrong thing. But if you think we can't talk about you and your nonsense policies and your lying as I see it to the people all around you, if you can't say my name, keep it out of your mouth. Stop. We're going to discuss you and your policies. And the $115,000 you took from CARE, the Council for American-Islamic Relations, a front group as described for the Muslim Brotherhood, a terrorist organization, deemed a terrorist organization as CARE by the UAE, by Florida, by Texas. And let's start there, Abdul Rahman. Taking money from CARE is worse than taking money from AIPAC. What? I just needed that to soak, right? Just needed that to hang out there in the ether for a little bit. Let me say it again for the people in the cheap seats. If you take money from CARE, that is far more problematic than if you take money from AIPAC. People who take CARE money can't be elected to office. People who take CARE money are connected to some of the worst bigotries and atrocities ever. How about just the subjugation of women within their own culture? Because I'm watching right now. There is Abdul Rahman. he's got his collar open, he's got a button unbuttoned, and it's wide open, and there's his face for everybody to see. And then to the left is a Muslim woman who has to wear a full head covering and long sleeves and everything else. He's fine and open. She's not. Oh, Tony, you can't talk about culture? You bet I can. You know why? I can pronounce his name. If we want to do this, we're going to do all of this, guys. And I think we should. So I start where I start. Taking money from CARE, a front group, as described, as reported. Taking money from CARE is far more disqualifying. Nope, say it differently, Tony. Taking money from CARE is disqualifying. Taking money from AIPAC, you cannot like, but it's certainly not disqualifying. CARE is worse. If AIPAC is bad, CARE is worse. This is my take. AIPAC is Americans. CARE, I'm not so sure. Neither are you. Not that you cared at all. And CARE is going to front a group, a terrorist group as described, that thinks that that woman should live undercover? Quite literally? But this will get us into the conversation of Islam as a political system, not a religion, and that's going to be a whole nother subject. Although it is a political system and not a religion, I'm not going to apologize for saying so. See what happens when you do the tough guy thing? See, now you're not talking about policy. We're talking about the kind of person you are, and the kind of person you are is not the kind of person who has a temperament who can be in elected office. Just not. This is the start of a very long conversation that we're going to be having through November. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today.
Year of culture smug down as Americans find it.
Well, first of all, it's great to be.
Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. I felt for a moment there that maybe I got my conversations a little muddled, but I think when I go back, I'll feel better about it. I do go back, and I got some ash in my keyboard. You can't take money from CARE, a group that is a front and is fine with the subjugation of women, in my view, and then tell me you're the good guy. Just can't be done. Taking money from CARE is worse than taking money from AIPAC. I don't think it's bad to take money from AIPAC. Oh, I think the anti-AIPAC stuff is madness. I do think that is all code silliness. It's this. What my brother, the good Dr. Katz, is screaming. AIPAC has become the new Heil Hitler, and I'm like, I get him, but I so abhor the Holocaust political crutch thing that I don't feel comfortable with it, because I talk about we shouldn't engage this way, but I get the argument. It's this thing that you yell out so everybody knows you're on board. It's the way of saying, I'm safe, don't hurt me. It's their secret knock. AIPAC bad, right? They're ridiculous. And it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. And then it's embarrassing when they want to say, well, this isn't about Jews. This is really about the government of Israel. If you say so. Oh, wait, no, we still don't believe you. Why would I believe somebody who is Islamist aligned? Why would I do that? We have record after record after record about what your desire is, what your want is, what their want is. Why shouldn't we say so? Of course it's an issue. What kind of nonsense to pretend that it isn't? If you bring it up, it's because you're a bigot. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to keep bringing it up because we don't care if you call us a bigot. We've been called racist before. We got through that. Blah, 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 blah. There's an issue. By the way, that take is going to come. If I can't pronounce your name, keep your stuff out of my country. That's not going to work because some of these people are Americans. And it's just the whole tough guy thing, it falls in on itself. It never works. Ever. He's laughable in this regard. Let me get back to the show. Where did I was looking at the markets, which are down right now. And then I read that has Ford not learned a lesson, or does Ford see an opportunity? I'm talking about Ford Motor Company. Tony Katz today. Guys, great to be with you. Live streaming on YouTube and Rumble, Tony Katz. Go to Twitter, or also known as X, Tony Katz. Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. Ford did the F-150 Lightning. Now, I have driven the Lightning many times over. I used to work with a local car dealership, and they would provide a vehicle, and it was the Lightning, which is the electric F-150. And I'm telling you, it's outstanding. The speed is nuts. The comfort is great. It's outstanding. I loved it. Loved it. Tried to buy one. Yes, I tried to buy an electric because I work from home and stuff. And so, I have studio things and everything else. So it seemed to work. The price they wanted was insane. No one's buying them. The price they wanted was surreal. Then you read that Ford is taking a look at another EV platform, which they call UEV, Universal Electric Vehicle. It's a new platform. And they are coming out with the Ford Fathom. And the Ford Fathom is going to have a starting price of $29,945. It's going to be a pickup. $30,000 electric pickup. Is there a market for this? I don't know. Pre-orders for the 5-passenger truck will begin in early 2027. It'll deliver summer or fall 2027. And there's no images of what the truck looks like yet. They're doubling down on EVs? I have questions. This is Tony Katz today. Now, Tony, with the Mach-E. All right. I've driven the Mach-E. First, that they called it a Mustang was a sin. A wrong marketing. The Mach-E itself, fun. The Lightning is 1,000% better. 1,000% better. That's my take. But hey, to each their own. Maybe they're going to do an all-electric Maverick. Now, the Maverick is the smaller SUV from Ford. The Maverick's been a huge seller, man. The people who own that truck, they love that truck. Love it. It's very cool. Me, if I'm doing a truck, I want the full size. Oh, and I do. I like the feel of it. I think it's super comfortable. For sure. So when I do think of getting a something else, another car, because Bonnie, an electric Mustang is not viable in a real Mustang world. Like, my kid wants to get a Corvette that he can work on. I'm like, I'm down for that. I think I like the idea of a Mustang. I do. But yeah. Yes, and I understand what you're saying, that the new electric truck could be modeled after the Maverick. That's true. I don't know, the electric Mustang, the Mach-E, cool car, just should not be a Mustang. Should not be a Mustang at all. That's it. All right, here's where we're at. We are in commercial break right now with radio, so we will take the commercial break right here. Hang loose, kick back, smoke them if you got them. I've got them. We'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Had a snack, got a refill. Life is good. Finger is healing nicely. I slammed it in a car door. I mean, it wasn't intentional. I wasn't like, hey, what's this like? Yeah, and I didn't realize, like when I first did it, I just thought I hurt myself. It's like embarrassing and ridiculous. What's wrong with you? And then I realized that the top of it was cut. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Let me go in the car and get a Band-Aid. And then I'm out of juice. And then I put my hand down and I slid. I realized I really cut the bottom of it. Not cool. Let's get to the show, and especially, what is Tucker talking about? What do we want in a political party? You can't deny that Tucker Carlson knows how to make news. He does. He really and truly does know how to. The one thing that we had discussed repeatedly when Tucker Carlson was at Fox was that a lot of people can comment on news. Making news, very, very different. Starting a conversation about an idea, very, very, very different. Did I say hello, Tony Katz? Tony Katz today, live streaming on YouTube and Rumble. Tony Katz on the Twitter X, Tony Katz Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. That's not easy to do. And he was able to do that. And it quite impressive. Glenn Beck was able to do that. Quite impressive. Both have gone in different directions. Now, Glenn Beck has been able to reinvent himself a couple times. It's an incredible story. Really is. Tucker, after leaving Fox, rightly or wrongly fired, I think, debated. But he went on his own and started this thing. He started doing the interviews and the videos on Twitter, on X, and people like, look, see, you don't need Fox. Because they were mad at Fox. Mad as can be for letting him go. And I understood that. I thought it wasn't the right move. And Tucker was doing these videos, and you looked at the millions of views, you're like, this is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And then Tucker went to Russia, and people said, oh, sure, he's going to glorify Putin. I said, wait a second. You have a chance to interview Vladimir Putin. You take the chance. You go and you interview Vladimir Putin. I had no issue with him doing that. I had no issue with the interview. I like parts, didn't like parts, fine. Letting him talk too much. He's trying to, as Putin is doing, trying to reinvent history as to reasons why the Russians own this land and that land, or Ukraine, etc. That part didn't bother me. It was kind of the typical stuff I would expect from Putin. What got to me was Tucker going to a Russian supermarket, which we would just call market because there's no way it was super, and saying, look how clean this is. Isn't this great? And look at these prices. These prices are incredible. At that moment, the term useful idiot just punches you in the face. Oh, it slaps you both ways with the hand, to the front and to the back. It's a Russian supermarket that they sent you. This is good? They happened to send you to the one that actually had some food. No, things are not great with the Russian economy. They're better? You're going to now start saying, wow, the system here is really terrific? What's wrong with you? What next? Bringing back Walter Duranty to tell me there's no famine in Ukraine? Stop it! What are you doing? You could watch him doing it, and all I could think in my head is slow motion. No, come back. But no. Once he did that, he was gone. And he has proven himself gone ever since. And now he is in the place where, never mind his anti-Israel zealotry, but rather he's in the place of Trump lied to you. Dun, dun, dun. Trump betrayed you. MAGA is dead. And it is up to me, Tucker Carlson, to make things right. Which he followed it up with. That was my laugh impression. Sometimes it's better. That wasn't my best one. It's got to be a little deeper, a little more rich. It's more like that. It's more... And Tucker put out a photo last week. It was him and this guy, Joe Kent. If you remember the story of Joe Kent, and oh, what a whistleblower, not a whistleblower. And it's Congressman Thomas Massie, who to me is great disappointment. And it's former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I said at then, and I say it now, Marjorie Taylor Greene was somebody who was going to vote the way I wanted her to vote a few times, and that's what I was going to have to deal with. No part of me wants anything to do with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm still not past space lasers, sorry. I'm not past the space lasers. That was just weird. Everything about her, just no thanks. None. And I still say that if you're connected to Marjorie Taylor Greene and you want to do something and she's the person you're doing it with, no. It matters. It matters. Sometimes the bedfellow matters. This goes back to something that Abdul El Sayed said when he was asked about who he campaigns with and the kind of people like the absolute freak Hassan Piker. And he was asked this question.
Do you intend to continue to campaign with Hassan Piker?
I'm focused on campaigning in this state, all over the state. I'm not just focused on who I'm campaigning with. I'm focused on who I'm campaigning for, which is...
You're not focused on who you're campaigning with? Okay. Go campaigning with David Duke and let me know how it goes. I'll wait. I'll wait right here and let's see how it goes. No, you're not concerned with who you're campaigning with. What Republican could ever get away with that line? You're not concerned about who you're campaigning with. A guy who says he hates the country and we deserve 9/11. If I went campaigning with Greg Bavino, who ran Border Patrol, who was doing the ICE work in Minneapolis, I'd get vilified 4 ways from Sunday. But you can campaign with this commie-loving Hassan Piker, this pseudo-tough guy, and it's fine. Who else can you campaign with then if it doesn't matter who you're campaigning with? I just want to know how the new rules work. You're associated with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm like, okay, I'm out. It's unserious. But Tucker has unveiled a 10-point manifesto. And it's this conversation of whether or not he's actually thinking of a third-party run. I have, and you've heard me discuss this if you've been with the show for any length of time, I am fine with third parties. I'm very okay with third parties. You want to create a third party, go ahead. You want to run in a third party, you go right ahead. You have the right to do what you will. You're an American citizen. And if you think that there is a need for a new party that isn't quite sharing what it is that you want, right? The parties aren't sharing what you want, so you want to create something new. No one should be able to stop you. That's nutty. I don't even believe in the idea of throwing away your vote. It is yours. I think there are sometimes bad votes. I think sometimes people are voting like morons, but it's your vote. Go ahead. But out comes this 10-point manifesto. So it makes people wonder whether or not he's going to be creating his own political party. And I'm going through what his 10 points are. Now, this is how Axios put it together, right? His 10-point plan. One is fair. The same rules should apply to presidents, federal agents, and elites such as Jeffrey Epstein, whose impunity, no, that's right, fair. That's what he said, fair. I've got this right. Well, I would not disagree with this. And I think this is important for us to go through it because what we will find is that I don't think on the baseline stuff, Tucker and I would disagree on the idea of fairness and of the idea of the United States being what he might describe as sovereign. Right? We are in charge of us. We decide us and our future. Where we would wholeheartedly disagree, aggressively disagree, is to the place where he thinks that the United States is pushed into action by Israel, for example, Iran. If anything has shown us that that's not true, it is the last 4 months. It is silly talk. It's as silly as having Daryl Cooper on your show and thinking you're getting a history lesson. It is false. And there, a divide cannot be overcome. While we may agree that the last thing in the world we should want on any stretch is the United States being subservient to another nation, not only will I agree to that, I will say it time and again and again and again. The idea that the United States is controlled by Israel is the kind of thing that is said by Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, and those Jew-hating bigots are not people we should emulate. He then goes into the next, which is productive. America should rebuild farming and manufacturing and craftsmanship while rejecting an economy dominated by finance, real estate speculation, surveillance systems, and weapons. Now we're getting into a very unique divide because I have supported the bringing back of manufacturing for as long as I've been political. And I can remember being at events like South by Southwest. I was doing some tech work at the time. And being around these tech people, and I would talk about the need for manufacturing, I'd get laughed at. Nobody needs to build chairs in the United States. Well, they were wrong. Of course we need to build chairs in the United States. You need jobs for all people, and you need to be able to have a manufacturing base to be able to handle your business when the world decides it's not interested in your business. But there's also nothing wrong with finance. Now, this gets into a place where I believe he starts referring to loans and interest as usury. Well, it's not. It's how capital gets dispersed and how growth takes place. And to call interest rates usury is to buy into an Islamist mindset. No, thank you. He can be right on something and wrong on something else, and I'm willing to discuss it as such. He talks about beauty. that urban planners have uglified American cities, portrayed in brutalist architecture, and a whole bunch of other things. Well, I've talked about this for forever. Art matters. Cleaning up the statues in D.C. matters. Ending the blight changes the mind. And yes, for years, the so-called artists have been pushing nihilism, nothingness, as opposed to grandeur and greatness and things that thought provoke. Instead, it has turned into silly, childlike art projects, people peeing on a crucifix or taping a banana to a wall and saying, $12 million, please. So this is just some of it. It's funny, Tucker here has not said anything that is wild. He just then tries to couch it in something that is wild. I mean, you go through this, you'd be like, yes, this, but no, that. It's the that that's the problem. It's the that doesn't even make the free society. And if Tucker now wants to start a conversation about these ideas, great. Is he prepared to defend them? Is he prepared to recognize when he is wrong? Because I am more than prepared to show him that he is wrong, to discuss these things out, that the things he says that are detrimental for American society are not, that it is not an all or nothing proposition in the majority of cases, but rather in the very few cases. And where in his 10 points does he engage the idea that America is not land, it is the ideal, and that J.D. Vance is wrong? Well, I'm sure we're all going to be talking about this in the weeks ahead. I'm looking forward to it. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it quite a bit. There's still so much stuff to get to. I staring at this this thing from Tucker. I mean, some of it is we should halt immigration until the effects of AI become clearer, ending benefits for undocumented immigrants and making English the sole language of federal documents and ballots. Well, I'm in favor of English as the sole language. I believe we should end benefits for illegal immigrants. Immigration and AI, I don't quite understand the conversation there. The U.S. should apologize and pay restitution for killing non-combatants. We're done. Tucker, you're just wrong, and that's all there is to it. All there is to it. You're putting us down a very, very ugly road. And doing so, I won't engage it fully now. I want to do it on air, and I want to give it as much time as it needs. My gosh. This is a very personal message. My wife was hit and killed by a drunk driver in St. Pete in March of this year. The drunk fled the scene with the help of cameras. They found her within minutes. I'm sorry to hear that. That is horrifying. Truly. That is terrible. But I will say this to you with as much clarity as I can. While I'm sorry, my rights don't change, and I have no interest in being tracked by my government. So it's clear. President Trump talking about the economy, and he sends himself out to Las Vegas to do it. Goes to Las Vegas, and he says, you guys, you're all focused on affordability. What are you doing? They told you to be focused on affordability. This economy, it's doing terrific.
Americans are working in the United States right now than at any point in the history of our country. I saw polls today on television say Donald Trump polls on the economy aren't good. The economy is the greatest economy we've ever had by far. The economy aren't good. They're fake polls, just like fake writers. And there's illegal aliens.
I'm going to get more into this a little bit later. I like the president going out there to talk about successes. Do not diminish what people are experiencing when it comes to costs. Don't do that. That is a mistake. You don't lose sight of the fact that people are paying more for a whole host of things, and some prices absolutely have come down. There's a way to do this that you come out looking good because you're having an honest, clear conversation. And you should do that. Don't dismiss what people are going through. Meanwhile, Iranian media says U.S. and Israeli ships are blocked in Hormuz Strait under the draft plan. U.S. and Israeli ships won't be able to transit the Strait of Hormuz under the new deal? Oh, okay. Can I say again, I don't believe anything. Absolutely none of it. There are right now so many stories. This is, hey, how do I get my column in so I can still get paid this week? That's what a lot of this is coming out as. U.S. ships can't go through the strait. That we're going to sign that deal? Okay. Look, I'm already on record with where I believe we have to be and this regime being ended. The president is not with me on this, so let's see where he goes. Let's see where he goes. But this story, yeah, don't believe it. I don't. I'm Tony Katz. Just don't. All right, I have got 3 more things. I'm done talking about the tough guy, Abdul El Sayed. Abdul El Sayed, because he said, if you can't pronounce my whole name, leave my name out your mouth. And so I pronounced his whole name, so ha 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 ha. Did he actually think his name is so tough to pronounce? Or is this now we're calling him this name, and so therefore it means something? I don't know. Like it was a big gotcha. No clue. Absolutely no clue. Then I've got this, and then I've got Alberta. That's right. I forgot about Alberta. Oh, then there's the chick who got deported. And then, wait, where do I have? Oh, I've got the IRGC commander who's now saying we're going to pursue nuclear weapons because the United States has them. Okay. This is all going swimmingly. Just swimmingly. Then there's the Fetterman-John Stewart fight regarding Israel, where John Stewart's like, Israel's guilty of genocide, and Fetterman's like, you're not very bright, are you? It is embarrassing. John Stewart, it's embarrassing. Good Lord. So yeah, so I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And Trump should not dismiss the affordability stuff. He has to focus it. He has to be able to engage it, not pretend like it's not happening. Yeah, don't do that. Do not do that. But I had something else. Where is it? Is it over here? No. Well, there is that. I'm going to get more into that, but I will just give that a mention. There is Landon's long lost love, Sophie Cunningham. Did you just call her your muse? Okay. Someone posted, we just need to let Israel let loose and take care of everything over there. For the record, no one has to like Israel. It doesn't move me at all. It doesn't bother me personally at all. But to scream about them being guilty of genocide is just a lie, and it makes people sound stupid. Don't like them. They're not guilty of a genocide. Where was the data that the people of Gaza are better fed than a series of other Arab nations? Or is Israel guilty of that too? It's just the whole genocide conversation. It's like the whole AIPAC thing. It's so unbelievably dumb. It's a dumb argument. It's what regurgitated Pavlovian nonsense. Anyway, let's get back to the show. 3 more things. Tony Katz today. It's always a pleasure to be here, guys. Thanks for being a part of the show. Live streaming, YouTube, Rumble. Look for Tony Katz. Twitter, which is known as X, Tony Katz. Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. What are 3 more things? 3 more things are stories that should be front page news, but because of everything on the front pages, does not become front page news. And I want to make sure that I bring that to you. I've got more than 3. I'm going to move through this stuff kind of quickly. First, Anthony Fauci found in contempt for his pleading the fifth 111 times. Did he have the right to do so? That's number 1. He was found in contempt. And of course, this was done on shamefully ideological lines. Democrats don't seem to care that he lied. They just don't. Why don't you care? You have to laud and glorify him because Trump bad. It is embarrassing, is what it is. Also, word that the Senate Judiciary Committee now has access to his cell phone and phone records, so we may learn more. Then there is Alberta, Canada. Alberta, Canada. The premier of Alberta is a woman by the name of Danielle Smith, who has reported a little rugged, a little willing to try things. She has set things in motion for a referendum in October that's going to ask the province whether or not they should stay in Canada. Mr. President, I may have found the actual 51st state. So as I understand the process and the reporting from the Wall Street Journal, they have to have a referendum. And if they say we should be talking about removing ourselves from Canada, that starts the process on a second referendum, which is the binding referendum on whether or not they want to leave for good. Alberta has something to its advantage that the other regions don't. They've got oil. And they've got a good amount of it. And so Canada looks to Alberta and the oil and gas revenue as hugely important for their economic future. So this is, for them, very, very, very concerning. So Danielle Smith has said, and I'm quoting here, "I've watched the separatist movement since I got involved in politics back in the 90s. And I don't think I've ever seen the support as high as it was after the Liberals got elected last year." That's Mark Carney, who took over for Justin Trudeau. You had a chance for Pierre Poilievre, and the Canadians said nope, mainly because Trump put on the tariffs and the anger was so great with Trump that they said we're going to stick it to everybody by keeping with the Liberals, which is a very weird thing to do to yourself, but they did it. 700,000 Albertans have signed petitions either for leaving or staying. 700,000 out of 5 million. So a number approaching 20%. And she's like, we need to have ourselves a conversation about this. I'm fascinated by it. Could Alberta survive on its own? I don't know enough about their politics outside of the gas. A nation of 5 million. I don't know how that would actually work. I do know that somebody in the chat room said we can trade Alberta for California. I'm mostly in. I think we should just trade them Alberta for Gavin Newsom. That's a deal. Gavin Newsom and Scott Wiener. Gavin Newsom, Scott Wiener, and Mark Ruffalo. They can have all of them. Instant citizenship. Just please take them. Then there is what we knew to be true about the election in Michigan. It's bad news for the Democrats in a general. Now, never mind, you didn't want Abdul El Sayed to win. Never mind, you want the Republican to win. Maybe you wanted Haley Stevens, whatever the case may be. Maybe you want Abdul El Sayed. I don't know. You could. You'd be wrong, but you could. What that vote did, remember, the polling had Sayed in that last week up by double digits. He was going to win by 13 points, 16 points. He won by a point. 1 percentage point. And that means you now have half the Democrat Party that voted. By the way, neither candidate got more than 50%. They were both under 50%. What do the half that voted for Haley Stevens, are they going to hold their nose and vote for Abdul El Sayed? Or are they going to say, I'm not going to vote at all? Or are they going to vote for the Republican, Mike Rogers? We brought this up the other day. It's a problem for Democrats because they don't have anything that's unifying. But Harry Enton over there at CNN showing some other numbers that are of grave concern to the left.
In your navy blue, you've got Haley Stevens. In your Columbia blue, you've got Abdul El Sayed. And what you see here is you see that Haley Stevens did particularly well in this corridor. And what's in this corridor? Well, there are a lot of working class voters and a lot of African American voters. Abdul El Sayed did very poorly amongst these groups in the primary. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not he can bring them into the tent come the general election, bring those swing voters with them, because where Abdul El Sayed did well, to be honest with you, we're really just college towns. That's where he really ran up the score. This is Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is in this county, and Ann Arbor, of course, is the University of Michigan. We zone out a little bit. Another place he did particularly well was Lansing. Again, we're talking 20-plus point margins. You can't.
First things first, never go blue. Said it. Not apologizing for anything. Oh, such a shame, University of Michigan. There are two stories here that we can now utilize. First, the so-called educated always vote for the most vicious. They're not being educated, they're being indoctrinated. But the other one, where Harry Enton started, was a conversation we had here well over a week ago. Black voters, black Democrats. The Democrat Party has left you for dead, and they will take for granted that you're going to vote for them. They are so busy trying to get all the Muslim voters to love them. They have forgotten you. You don't count. Your interests don't count. The Islamists have decided that they can run on the whole grievance factor. Oh, we're being oppressed. Oh, we're being attacked. Oh, we're being abused. While they are the abusers. And they do this by not necessarily pushing what their Islamist desires are, which is for you, black Democrats, not to be able to be Christians. I mean, that's what the Islamist does. They aligned with the communists who have now taken over the party. That's what we call the Red-Green Alliance. And your issues don't matter at all. You will never matter. You fought for civil rights. You have a grievance, not all, some with the country. You have a history in the United States. You have a story of the United States. You have generations living in the United States. And what they have said is, you don't count. Your history, your struggles, nope. You got pushed to the side. You think they're going to pay attention to any issue you have? You are nuts. Al Sharpton won't talk about it because he already made his money. But your kids are going to get hosed. It's time to become Republicans. It's always been your party anyway. Everything the Democrats have ever told you is a lie. You know it's a lie. They're going to do this for you. They're going to do that for you. There's going to be programs this and programs that. Now, truly, what they were doing was not discussing black voters. What they were saying is, we have to provide this to this group and that to that group. And they were looking for more and more reasons to be able to get people to vote for them. We're going to provide this, we're going to provide that. And then they did something truly evil and said, you can't provide for yourself here. You can't provide for yourself there. You shouldn't have to provide for yourself here and there. And they really did this to poor voters, liberal voters, to try and make them dependent. That's their history. That's what the left did. I don't argue any perfection of a political party. I am saying with clarity that the reason black voters didn't go for Abdul El Sayed is because they understand that they just got pushed aside for Islamists and communists. And black voters, you should be pissed. And you should let them know by voting for people who might pay attention to you. Now, the fact that Republicans may not be smart enough to call up and say, can I speak at your church? Well, yeah, I'm with you. They ain't that bright. They're not. They're not. So you might have to help them with that. I agree. It's nonsense that you'd have to help them with that. I'm saying right now, invite me to your church. I will be there. I will be there. I will gladly speak. Would love to on this topic. Joyfully. It'd be a pleasure to do. But we discussed this a couple of weeks ago, and now the data's coming out. Could not be more factual, guys. Black voters. Now, I wonder if we want to say black liberal voters, because I always believe it is about the liberalism and not the color of skin. It's about the ideological. But they're starting to understand that they're getting screwed. That these people don't have their best interests. Because they don't. Because what they believe in is not what, in a grander sense or in a broader sense, black voters have been fighting for. It's not. And you know who won't admit to this? Sonny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg and Ta-Nehisi Coates. Nope. They won't. But you know. Invite me to your church, please. Invite me to anything. I'll speak. I'd love to. I'd be thrilled to. Thrilled to do it. You need to do something. And that is make sure your data is protected with Incogni. Because everything is out there for these scammers. They've got files on you that have got all your personal information, your family's personal information. I mean, your kids' names. We understand. It's got your kids' names. And they send you those phishing text messages. How do they know so much about you? Because there's a file on you. The data brokers, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they are costing you billions, $20 billion plus dollars lost to fraud last year alone. These scammers are prepared. You need to be prepared. You need Incogni. INCOGNI, Incogni.com. Going broker by broker, forcing each one to delete your file. They tell you can't opt out. Oh, no. Incogni finds the opt out and gets it done. And if your data, they try and put it back, Incogni finds it again and removes it again. All legally. Go to Incogni.com/Katz. Katz. That's the website. Incogni.com/Katz. Go right now and get 60% off. Use my last name, promo code Katz, Katz. That's Incogni.com/Katz. Do that right now. Get 60% off. Take your private life off of the market. Incogni.com. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. For those of you who don't know, I come to you from Indiana. That's where I'm based. Love it here. And Indiana has IU, Indiana University, national football champions, undefeated. It has Purdue University, great teams, just not of late, and basketball has not delivered on its promise. Matt Painter, what's going on? Good. Need a championship. Well, they have a new athletic director. I don't know his name. And the new athletic director, I'm going to share this with you. You can't believe that he said this. Now, understand, Purdue is in West Lafayette. You go down the road, and then you can end up at Bloomington and IU. And there's a rivalry. Sure, there's a rivalry. It used to be a football rivalry when both teams were only fair, and then that ended with Coach Signetti. But the new athletic director of Purdue University just said this.
Every recruit.
Hold on a second, sorry. Let's try that again. The new athletic director of Purdue University just said this.
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
What? How could you say that? They just went undefeated. They're the toast of the town. They're the toast of the state. Go to Indiana? I would have just shown him the door right there. You're the wrong guy. That's a bad way to start. You may not have seen it, but President Trump, when he was in Nevada speaking about the economy, he invited this couple on stage to say a few words, and this woman was going to speak. It was the no tax on tips and economic things, and she's got her husband. She's got 2 kids. Tony Katz today. So she is holding the infant. He is holding the toddler. She is going to take the podium and speak. She's nervous. She gives the infant to the husband. The husband puts the toddler on the ground. Toddler can walk and hold his hand, right? Can't have both kids in each hand. While this is happening, the president gives her the podium, and the toddler, wants to be next to mom.
Stand here before you and speak. Sorry, excuse me.
The toddler then starts to run off towards the end of the stage. Trump, like grandpa, would chase the grandkid for getting too close to the edge or getting near a sharp knife. Chases after the kid to make sure he doesn't run. He's like, oh, gotta go get him. Off like a light, and then yells to the crowd, I didn't want him to fall off the stage like Biden. It is an adorable moment. It is full grandpa. He's done that before. Everybody who has young kids has done that before. They've all done it before. My point of this is, they tell us that Donald Trump is this doddering old man with dementia. You want me to show you that again?
I have a little wandering going.
You want me to show you that again? Seems like he's got some pretty good reflexes. Seemed that he's fully aware, keeping an eye on the kid. Turned around, saw the kid. He's like, oh, let me go get him.
Sorry, excuse me. I have a little wandering going on right now.
Everything they would never talk about Biden, but they'll also never talk about this. They just say the things they say because they say them. Not that it has any connection to reality. More show is coming up. I'm glad you guys are here. This is Tony Katz today. Excellent, excellent, excellent. It is Tommy McClelland, is that his name? Landon. Tommy McClelland, is that his name? The new AD? As an inauspicious start, kitten. Inauspicious. Just nutty. I can't thank you guys enough for being here. I am I on Newsmax tomorrow? Yes, I am. Honestly, I got to get my own show over there. Otherwise, what am I doing? I could just do more stuff here. I could do more video. I mean, if I'm going to do this stuff, I got to get a gig. Do I have to get an agent? I don't want to get an agent. Can I just handle it? I'm just going to handle it. You know what? I'm just going to handle it. All right. Thanks for the business talk. I appreciate the good advice. I appreciate you being here. I'm back tomorrow at noon. So be sure to be here. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you to everybody who showed up. We have been scheduling the shows, and that's working out really, really well. Newsmax, who would have guessed? Your mom. She did last night. Huh? That's a joke about the stuff your mom will do for cash. So, could you not? If that's the guy you're going to be, how about you don't come back here? That's we don't need that. We don't need that at all. It's just not needed. That's it. Appreciate you guys. And by the way, everybody in the show, everybody in the chat room, they're the kittens, self-named. They named themselves. I didn't do it. But there should be gear. I should work on that. I appreciate you. You're fantastic. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.